And breaking news right now at 10 o'clock, Isaias is officially strengthening into a hurricane just hours before it is set to make landfall in the Carolinas. Winds are reaching dangerous levels now, packing a punch at 75 miles per hour.
Tonight, millions along the coast are now preparing for impact. In addition to the winds, the powerful storm is threatening much of the East Coast with pounding rain and serious flooding. Here's a live look at Myrtle Beach tonight, where downpours are picking up and the winds are whipping there on the boardwalk. Parts of South Carolina along the coast could get up to 8 inches of rain.
There's also the potential for dangerous storm surge and even tornadoes. We're tracking all of it for you tonight. Good evening to our viewers in Washington and also those joining us from our Sinclair sister station, WTGS in Savannah, Georgia. I'm Jonathan Elias.
And I'm Allison Starling. Our stations are working together tonight to keep you up to date on the storm and the path forward as well. We have team coverage tonight all along the East Coast, from Georgia to South Carolina, Virginia, and Maryland. The storm has moved past the south. It is now churning north. It's creating potentially dangerous conditions over the next 24 hours.
Preparations are underway here in our nation's capital. Flood barriers have gone up along Georgetown waterfront. That's an area that's prone to flooding, and that's why they have the walls there. And in Northern Virginia, sandbags are being put out in front of stores and homes this afternoon as a precaution.
So let's begin our coverage now with our team of meteorologists working here in D.C. and also in Savannah tonight. Meteorologist Bill Kelly leads us off, and he is tracking this monster storm. And Bill, it is headed our way.
It sure is, and we have an update for you. So at 5 p.m., 5 a.m., 11 p.m., 11 a.m., we get the official update from the National Hurricane Center. Then we'll get the intermediate updates 3 hours in between. Well, we have one at 9 o'clock, and this is because the hurricane hunters went in there and discovered that the winds have jumped up even more than that to 85 miles per hour, and gusts are higher. That's the way it was written in the report. So we have now a strong Category 1 that's moving close to shore right now. We're going to track it out for you because we only got a couple of hours until landfall from anywhere between Myrtle Beach to Sunset Beach, all the way over to the east, or maybe around the Wilmington area, just south of that. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. It's going to continue to push up, make landfall, most likely as a Category 1 hurricane. We'll have the most recent update again at 11 o'clock. And then it starts working into our area around the D.C. metro and into central and northern Virginia. And look at all these colors on the map, the reds, the oranges. This is extremely heavy rainfall starting tomorrow morning early, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. I mean, it's raining out there right now. But the heavy stuff gets going mid to late morning, and that goes through about noon. And by 2 o'clock, this update that you see here, the wind's still hanging out at 65 miles per hour. And on the east side of that, that's where they're going to be even stronger. So this is not good for places like Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach, Ocean City, Cape May. It will continue to move up to the north. It's not going to last very long for us in terms of the wind speeds, but it is going to pack a major punch in the form of rainfall. I mean, look at some of these totals from the I-95 corridor through D.C. off to the east. We're talking 3 to 6 inches of rainfall. That's incredible. We got 1 to 3 inches from D.C. over to, say, the Blue Ridge Mountains, just to generalize it, and then beyond that, up to an inch, and in some spots significantly less than that. So we do have the flash flood warning up. No question these are going to be turned to flood warnings tomorrow. And we also, of course, have the tropical warning. We have a tropical storm warning in our area. Those wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, if not more, in spots. So I mentioned it's raining here. These are some of the outer reaches of this storm that's down to the south. And once it pulls through, we'll still have that potential for storms like they are seeing right now in Savannah. With that, we want to send it on down to our sister station, Bradford Ambrose. You guys are done with this storm for now, but region-wide, this is still a big issue.
Yeah, it sure is, Bill, and good Monday evening, everyone. We got lucky here across the low country and into portions of the coastal empire of Georgia. We saw maximum sustained winds or wind gusts of 40 miles per hour, also some heavy downpours, but overall no widespread damage, no power outages, and not much in the way of storm surge. But as we take a look at those watches and warnings out there right now, you could just throw a blanket on all the watches and warnings through northeastern portions of South Carolina and along and east of I-95 right now. A wide area continuing to be under a tornado watch. And to the early morning hours, we do have a tornado warning over toward the Wilmington area, flash flood watch for much of North Carolina and the northeastern portions of South Carolina, and tropical storm warnings, also hurricane warnings for the Grand Strand of South Carolina. So a high impact system and widespread 2 to 4 inches of rainfall right along the I-95 corridor and just to the east, and local pockets 4 to 6 inches of rainfall within the next, let's say, 8 to 12 hours from now, and that will lead to a moderate threat for flash flooding along and east of I-95, red shaded area under that moderate risk for flash flooding. Also winds, wind gusts, tropical storm strength possible as we head into the next couple of hours for you folks in Wilmington. 65-mile-per-hour winds, and that eye will continue to march its way off to the north and east. Wind gusts upper 60s to lower 70s as it continues to track up your way, up to Virginia and over toward Washington as well. We'll have the very latest coming up here in just a few minutes. Back to you all.
All right, thanks very much. And in Maryland, residents now are getting ready for Hurricane Isaias.
Our Brad Bell live in North Beach with the preparations that are underway at this hour. Hi, Brad.
Hey there. Yeah, this town about due east of Washington, D.C., right on the shores of the Chesapeake Bay. Tonight, just a little bit of sprinkle, no wind at all. If you can see behind me, the glistening on the bay tonight, it is slick calm, as they say. But tomorrow, the storm will come in, and in this town, with the water so close, and this so close to sea level, there is always fear of that storm surge. As the sun dipped low in the sky in this small bayside town, longtime residents Randy and Paula Kozik headed for the North Beach Boardwalk.
We decided to come for a little walk before the storm.
They remember all too well 17 years ago when Tropical Storm Isabel created a devastating tidal surge across the Chesapeake region. North Beach was among the hardest hit communities.
They had dumpsters up and down this road with bulldozers just putting people's belongings.
They, like so many, hoping Isaias passes quickly and gently. In Annapolis today, nervous residents heeding a warning from the city, filling sandbags as a defense against flooding. Tents for outdoor dining coming down. But in truth, people who live so close to the water, like those out strolling in North Beach, know if the storm surge comes, they are at its mercy.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and we just watch it.
You hunker down in your house and wait it out.
Well, I was just about right here 17 years ago for Isabel. The water just about this deep at that point. We're not hearing forecasts of that. The key this time around is where the storm goes. If it moves west, the storm surge will be bigger. If it moves farther east, then the winds will actually have a tendency to blow the water out of the bay. In North Beach, Brad Bell, ABC 7 News.
Let's hope it goes east. Brad, thank you for that. Our team coverage continues now with Cody Thomas live in Beaufort County, South Carolina. That's where they dodged a bullet with Isaias.
Yeah, Jonathan and Allison, it is calm right now, but many locals say it's been like that all day. I also talked to some workers around here earlier who were here during Hurricanes Matthew and Irma. They say today's weather doesn't even compare.
Nothing at all to worry about.
That seemed to be the attitude among everyone who was out in Beaufort today. By mid-afternoon, the clouds had cleared and the sun was back. Some visitors say most of the action happened this morning.
About 3 a.m. it started raining really heavily, lots of wind. Rainy throughout the day, but still managed to have a good time.
Most of the businesses near Beaufort's waterfront park were already closed due to storm concerns, but Kilwin's Ice Cream was one of the few that remained open. Worker Lauren Bartlett has lived in the Low Country since she was 7 and says this storm was nothing more than a strong rain.
I expected it to be storming really hard outside and, wind blowing trees over, but essentially it just looked like a small thunderstorm that just rolled through, and then it passed pretty quickly.
But how was business today with the tropical storm passing through? Bartlett says even though they were one of the few places open, there still wasn't much traffic.
It has not been very busy at all. It's been rather slow. Like, we didn't even set all our stuff out because we just thought the storm would pretty much send everyone off.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster also issued stricter COVID-19 guidelines that went into effect today for restaurants and mass gathering facilities. Fleming says Kilwins will continue to follow safety orders.
We just go by protocol. We just wear our mask. We make sure people that come in wear their mask. Other than that, we wear our gloves, and that's about all that we can do.
No, any violation of Governor McMaster's COVID-19 executive orders can result in up to a $100 fine or up to 30 days in jail. Reporting live in Beaufort County, Cody Thomas, Fox 28 News at 10.
All right, Cody, thanks for that. And as this hurricane advances its way up the East Coast, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam has declared a state of emergency. And today we can tell you that the American Red Cross is already mobilizing resources and volunteers. Now our coverage continues with Heather Graff live in Storm Track 7. Heather?
Well, Jonathan, we can tell you some Red Cross vehicles hit the road over the weekend to move towards coastal areas that could be hard hit by this storm. And we want to give you a look at what the roads look like right now. This is I-495 near McLean, Virginia, after a light rainfall right now. And this is after another round of severe weather moved through earlier today.
We all know the saying, when it rains, it pours. And that was especially true when we shot this video in Fairfax County.
It was not great timing. Yeah, grabbing sandbags in the pouring rain was less than ideal, but we're really happy that they're available for us.
Monday's severe weather arriving right as Carrie Cohan and Allison Brstansky were trying to prepare for Tuesday and the potential impacts of Isaias, whether it arrives as a hurricane or a tropical storm.
We've got a basement egress that's a window well, a large window well, and it's a little bit below grade, so we need the sandbags to make sure that in case things aren't draining very quickly, that our basement doesn't flood.
And not far from this free sandbag pickup, we found the American Red Cross is prepping as well.
For us, it actually begins pre-landfall. We've moved several vehicles out over the weekend to pre-position closer to the coast, but we're not going to go completely to the coast. We still have material, assets, volunteers here. The concern here now is flooding.
Ready to respond wherever there's a need. Because sometimes when it rains, it pours.
I think it's like 6 inches of rain in under 24 hours, so we're just kind of nervous.
Yeah, it's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. You got to be prepared.
Good advice no matter where you live. And as we show you another look at the roads here, another reminder. We know a lot of people are working from home right now due to COVID-19. If you don't have to be on the roads tomorrow, stay home until the threat of severe weather is over. For now, we're live tonight in Storm Track 7. Heather Graff, ABC 7 News.
All right, Heather, thank you. Well, dozens of Dominion Energy crews have been deployed to southeast Virginia to respond to any possible power outages there. About 80 crews and 30 bucket trucks left Fairfax this afternoon for Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Hampton Roads areas. But Dominion says there are still plenty of crews ready to respond here in northern Virginia as well. Montgomery County, Maryland officials have been working for days to not only face this storm, but to do it during a pandemic. ABC 7's Annalisa Gale is live in Chevy Chase with that part of our coverage now. Annalisa?
Allison, right now we're on Beach Drive, just one of the roads here in the county that is susceptible to flooding. Now, we know the county is looking out for two things, flooding and possibly power outages tonight. They're asking people to be prepared with an emergency kit, which will look a little different this year.
Making sure that the patio was nice and tight and nothing would be flying around.
As Montgomery County prepares for possible flooding, heavy rain, and more due to Isaias, businesses along Bethesda Row are making changes.
I've already brought the umbrellas down in the back so that those won't be flying away.
As part of that preparation, the county is suspending shared streets and streeteries.
We're discouraging people from going out there.
I wouldn't be surprised to have some pretty significant urban flooding.
And Montgomery County Fire and Rescue is staying ahead of the storm by adding more resources.
A lot of planning and contingency plans in effect. Essentially, what you're looking at here at Station 18 in Glenmont is one of our additional boats that we've put in service. We've upstaffed 4 additional boats and they have dedicated staffing. Strategically located throughout the county.
In the meantime, spokesman Pete Perringer is still urging residents to be mindful of the pandemic.
We hope that everybody already has a disaster kit, emergency kit at their home that's COVID friendly. By that I mean has hand sanitizer, disinfecting wipes, face coverings, masks. Don't let your COVID guard down.
And as always, the county is reminding people to slow down and watch out for those flooded roadways. We've already seen a few crashes in the area tonight. Live from Montgomery County, Annalisa Gale, ABC 7 News.
All right, Annalisa, thank you very much. And another live look here at the radar. And once again, we want to show you Myrtle Beach, too. So our special coverage continues next with a live report from Ocean City, Maryland. Stay with us.
I want to welcome back our viewers watching here in Washington, D.C., also in Savannah, Georgia tonight, as we now are tracking the path and the impact of Hurricane Isaias. The powerful storm now is churning north. It is set to make landfall in the next few hours. Maryland's eastern shore is expected to get a significant impact from this hurricane. Heavy rain, storm surge could cause some major flooding. Dan Lamparello now is live in Ocean City with the preparations underway as the vacation town remains packed with tourists. Dan?
Well, the boardwalk here in Ocean City still extremely busy tonight. Many of the vacationers here trying to take advantage while they can ahead of Isaias's initial arrival tomorrow morning. While many of them tell us that they are preparing, most don't seem too phased ahead of this storm's arrival, though. It comes at the height of tourist season here in Ocean City, though, and you can tell, again, with the amount of people who are out right now. Tomorrow will be anything but a vacation, though, as Isaias is expected to bring heavy rain and a storm surge that could flood parts of the Ocean City boardwalk. Now, we haven't seen many of the businesses preparing for that just yet, but the town did give out some sandbags earlier in the day. And while the boardwalk is packed right now, some people still tell us they'll be hunkering down tomorrow in hopes Isaias will move out quickly.
We knew that the storm was coming. Well, this morning we planned, we stayed on the beach. It was a beautiful morning this morning. So what we did, we went to the grocery store so that we can stay in tomorrow, watch movies and things like that.
You're going to get storms, you're going to get floods, you're going to get the rain. It is what it is. So if you came here to have a vacation, you got to live with it.
And many of the people out here just living with it tonight. There are still a ton of people out here on the boardwalk. Out on the beach, different story. The surf is starting to move its way up. We can hear the waves starting to crash a little bit more heavy. High tide tomorrow morning is at 9:08 here in Ocean City. And the town of Ocean City has already closed the floodgates here on the boardwalk. They have these stainless steel gates here to prevent any of that storm surge from coming up, ruining the boardwalk or any of the businesses that are up here. You don't see these closed very often other than for big events like this. So, you know, the town is taking it seriously, so that means all of us should too. For now, though, we're live in Ocean City. Dan Lamparello, ABC 7 News.
Let's hope it works. Dan, thanks very much. And we're working to make sure that our viewers here in D.C. and in Savannah know what is going on weather-wise.
Our team coverage continues now. So, Bill, how are things looking at this hour?
Yeah. So they are looking not good. It's 85-mile-per-hour winds. I suppose it certainly could be worse, but Isaias, we're going to watch this. I want to zoom down real locally. I moved our radars to get right down there. This is the Morehead City and the Wilmington radar, and you see this heavy rain band right now extending from Myrtle Beach right across over Sunset Beach, basically out where it connects here near Bald Head Island, and it's nearly on shore right now. We're going to watch it very closely within the next couple of hours, making landfall. We'll get the update here at 11 o'clock, but look, it's only about 350 miles away from the D.C. metro. So let's focus in on Virginia, the D.C. area, as we go into the evening hours tonight. We've had rain off and on all day. I can tell you at my house I've picked up a half an inch of rain so far. And we're going to see some light off and on rain for the next couple of hours. But once we get into the early morning hours, 5 o'clock in the morning, we start to see batches of some moderate to heavy rain. But then when you wake up, most of you waking up 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, there's likely going to be some heavy rain up and down the entire I-95 corridor. It only increases mid and late morning. This is a snapshot at 10 o'clock in the morning. And look at all these reds. This is not just an individual cell or even a cluster of cells. This is widespread, heavy rain, pouring rain. It's one of those days you really want to stay indoors. Flooding is going to be a major problem. We're also going to see winds as a big issue as well. In terms of the rain, by mid-afternoon, most if not all of that should lift up to the north, and then we're going to switch it on over to some spotty showers that could be a little stronger, which is exactly what Bradford's seeing right now, and you folks in Savannah have this line of storms. For us in D.C., it's going to be tomorrow evening, that back edge, if you will. But rainfall totals, look at some of these numbers. We're looking at 3 to 6 inches from the I-95 corridor, areas to the east to the Chesapeake and beyond. That's incredible. In some spots, like it's forecasting, this model's forecasting over 7 inches of rain for Annapolis. Flooding is inevitable when you get that much rain. But there's going to be a sharp contrast. You go to the west, I-81 corridor, you might get a half an inch of rain. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But some of the gusts, by 9:30 in the morning, these winds will still be out of the north as the storm approaches. But watch as we head into 11 and noon, we see these gusts to 39, 50 miles per hour. The farther south, the farther east you are, the stronger those wind gusts are going to be. And that time frame is like 9 a.m. where they really start to pick up through about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time we get to 5 and 6, that storm is to the north, and we'll notice a huge decrease in those wind gusts. Now, in terms of temperatures, we're in the 70s pretty much all day tomorrow. Then we're going to rebound on Wednesday back into the mid-80s. Wednesday looks like a nicer day, which is good, and it will allow for a little bit of time for us to dry out. But tomorrow, again, I cannot emphasize enough, if you do not have to travel, please just stay home. You're dealing with wind, you're dealing with rain, excessive rain, especially in southern Maryland, I-95 corridor from DC and areas off to the east. Then we got more storms a little bit later on this week. We want to check in with Savannah, see what's going on down there. Bradford?
Yeah, hey there, Bill. You mentioned basically that last hurrah, the back end of the system here. And I tell you what, it is packing a punch right through the Savannah area right now, especially in our far southern county toward McIntosh County, just west of I-95 right now, producing a lot of lightning, some moderate to heavy rainfall, and also some small hail. And that will work off toward the coast at about in the next, let's say, half hour or so. And things will be quieting down nicely during the overnight hours. Temperatures low to mid 70s area wide, into the upper 70s right along the coast. Hilton Head and Buford right into the upper 70s, and calm winds into the overnight hours. Upper 80s to near 90 degrees right along the coast. Low to mid 90s as we enter the afternoon hours with showers and thunderstorms possible. Feels like readings near 100 degrees. Your 7-day forecast here in Savannah. Hopefully you like the lower 90s and mid 70s, because we have a whole bunch of that over the next 7 days. For Tuesday, 30 to 40% shot of those scattered showers and thunderstorms, and about a 40% chance Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into the upcoming weekend. Mainly afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. We'll see high temperatures in the lower 90s. Overnight lows in the mid 70s. Very typical for this time of year. Stick around. More news right after the break.
Ariana Mount in downtown Savannah, Georgia tonight. Some business owners tell me they did see a little bit of dark clouds and rain earlier today, but that really was the extent of weather impact in this area. What we did see, however, though, was a financial impact as people prepared for what could have been.
Today's been about situational awareness, making sure that we are communicating with the municipalities throughout Chatham County, understanding what they are seeing on the ground.
With the morning showers clearing up to a sunny day, it looks like a typical Monday in downtown Savannah. But the threat of Tropical Storm Isaias is what makes it not so typical.
We didn't anticipate a lot of people showing up, so we cut everything, the staffing and all the food, because we were really expecting almost like no business.
The manager of Savannah Seafood Shack closed some of his restaurant's outdoor tables in preparation for the storm. Andy says today's sales were way down.
I would say probably at least 50% slower than norm.
A handful of downtown stores like Blend's Coffee chose to keep their doors closed to weather the storm. Local hotels also say they're feeling the financial impact of Isaias today, with some people choosing to cancel their trips. The general manager of the Marshall House says they saw a 20% drop in reservations.
We did not see the pickup in short-term reservations like we would normally see, like on a Saturday, Sunday going into a Monday, Tuesday.
Now, the director of Chatham Emergency Management tells me the biggest thing about these storms is to be prepared. He says we're not out of the woods yet because hurricane season goes through the end of November. In fact, I've actually seen some lightning since I've been out here tonight. So if you do not have an emergency plan or emergency kit at home, now is the time to put one together. For now, though, live in downtown Savannah, Ariana Mount, Fox 28, News at 10.
All right, Ariana, thank you very much. Another look now at the radar. Take a look at this as Hurricane Isaias is inching closer to landfall. Our special coverage continues coming up right after this.
And we're back now at 10:30. Hurricane Isaias building strength, inching closer to landfall in the Carolinas tonight. Wind speeds reaching 75 miles per hour.
And severe weather watches and warnings have been issued up and down the East Coast. In fact, a live look now at Myrtle Beach right now, and you can see that I think it's kind of frozen the picture because that palm tree down on the lower right side of you, we've been watching that thing blowing around a lot. The waves are starting to pick up right now. Carolina coast, all along the Carolina coast, they could get up to 8 inches of rain when all said and done.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a frozen shot right now. I'm sure it's a little bit windier there. We do want to welcome back our viewers in Washington and also those joining us from our Sinclair sister station, WTGS, in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, our stations are working together tonight to keep you up to date on the storm and the path forward. We continue our coverage, though, tonight with our team of meteorologists tracking the storm as it turns north. Let's get straight now to our chief meteorologist, Bill Kelly, who's keeping a very close eye on what is proving to be a sizable storm.
Absolutely. The update that we got is the intermediate update at 9 o'clock, and this was directly because of the hurricane hunters out there. 85-mile-per-hour sustained winds with gusts higher than that. We're going to get the full-blown update here coming up probably in the next 15 minutes. It's 11 o'clock, but oftentimes they'll bring that in 10 to 15 minutes early. So hopefully by the end of this newscast, we have that newest updated information, which will include an updated track as well. We're continuing to watch this through the evening, make its landfall, head through North Carolina. Severe weather as well as a lot of rain, which Bradford's going to cover in just a moment. That's for that area. And then by tomorrow morning, early, if you head out at all, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, already seeing some very heavy rain around the D.C. area. And the track, look at how tight. It's called the cone of uncertainty. And the less certain it is, the wider that track is going to be. The cone right now is really put together, and it has been this way for a while. Very high confidence in this track. And I also want to draw up, Brad was talking earlier about the Chesapeake, talking about Isabel and how all that flooding went into Annapolis. This is a little bit different in terms of the storm track. Notice where the center is, and Annapolis is off to the west of that. That's actually good news because the winds, as you can see from the icon, are going to blow a lot of the water away from Annapolis. Now, on the other side of this, the eastern side, this is not good news for the shore because the strongest of the winds are going to be felt on that eastern side as we go on into the day tomorrow. But around the D.C. metro, certainly southern Maryland, east of the I-95 corridor, it is a big rain event. It's a wind event, but the rain event is going to be what I think is a bigger story in our area, the biggest story in our area, because we're talking about rainfall rates by the time this is said and done. And this isn't a storm that hangs around for like 3 or 4 days. This is by tomorrow afternoon, early evening, we're looking at 3 to 6 inches potentially of new rainfall. You get that much rain in that short of time, flooding's inevitable. No question about it. So we have a flash flood watch in the area. We'll go from D.C. to the Blue Ridge, 1 to 3 inches, and then beyond that, up to an inch, and in some spots, considerably less, depending on where that track is. So we're watching that. Our severe risk here in the D.C. area tomorrow, not excessively high. It's going to be the flash flooding that we watch, but there has been a history of some severe weather with this storm, in addition to, of course, the winds, but tornadoes. Bradford, we want to send it on down to you. Is that warning in North Carolina, is that still active, or did that expire?
Yeah, hey there, Bill, and good Monday evening, everyone. It looks like the National Weather Service has expired that tornado warning. Looking at radar over the past 15 minutes, it looks like a significant tornado was on the ground right near Wilmington, North Carolina. As it tracked off to the north and west, have yet to see any damage. But that area and a wide swath of the northeastern portion of South Carolina and all areas along and east of I-95 this evening under a tornado watch into the early overnight hours. Also, flash flood watch. Tropical storm warnings, hurricane warnings for the Grand Strand. Mentioning the Grand Strand toward Myrtle Beach, major storm surge now along that area, overrunning Ocean Boulevard, that roadway right along the Atlantic Ocean there. So a high impact storm along the Carolinas this evening, and that threat will continue into the overnight hours. Wide swath of 2 to 4 inches of rainfall likely, with local pockets 4 to 6, maybe even higher as it continues to track off to the north and east toward you folks in the D.C. metro area. We do have a moderate threat for flash flooding into the overnight hours and into the day on Tuesday. That's because of all that significant rainfalls, 3 to 6 inches plus in some localized areas. Wind gusts will also be an issue. Tropical storm wind gust, a good bet for the eastern portion of North Carolina as we head into the overnight hours, and that threat will continue into Virginia as we head into the day on Tuesday. We'll have much more coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. Well, they certainly know how to prepare for flooding in Old Town Alexandria. It happens all the time. But just as businesses started bringing out the sandbags, rain moved in. ABC 7's Victoria Sanchez was there.
Here in Old Town Alexandria, the corner of King and Union Streets, this is where the streetery usually is. That's where restaurants put out tables and chairs for people to eat outdoors. But because the tropical storm is on its way, businesses started putting sandbags along their open doors to make sure that the water doesn't come in. A woman who's lived here for 3 decades says she's just preparing.
This isn't new at all. That's why I'm down here, to pick up sandbags, because I'm going to have a flood in my backyard if I don't.
And just to show you how often this does happen to this area, there is a permanent water line marker here along the Torpedo Factory building, where you can see it marks off just how high the water can potentially come. People say that they are prepared and ready, and once the flood passes, they'll clean up and open businesses again. Victoria Sanchez, ABC 7 News.
And in South Carolina, Hilton Head Island saw just a small part of the storm as it was passing by early Monday afternoon. Jamie Burton was at the beach to check out the conditions.
With 1 minute being sunny and the next a rainstorm, beach staff and those visiting were prepared for whatever the tropical storm was going to bring to Hilton Head today. Operations manager for Shore Beach Services had his staff ready.
We sent our normal staff out for the day. And the first thing was just to check the water conditions to see what they were like, and just kind of keep monitoring the weather to just make sure that it's safe for them to be out there.
He says they've been keeping a close eye on the storm.
Mostly just kept watching the track of the storm, all the projections to see how close it was going to come, was it strengthening.
When they first went to check the water this morning, it seemed a little rougher than usual, but not anything crazy.
It was interesting because just one big band of the storm came in, and that changed real quickly. And then, it seems like the bands roll in, it gets really, really rough, calms down a little bit, not to the point that it's still safe, but then as soon as another band rolls in, it kicks up the wind, kicks up the surf.
Red flags were placed on the beach to warn beachgoers of the extreme hazardous conditions, but it didn't surprise him how many people were still at the beach.
The thing that's really different with this storm versus most we deal with is it's a good month earlier than most, and so it's still very much tourist season.
He believes people are curious about the storm, and that's what brought them out. But it wasn't only tourists occupying the beach. Despite the storm, some Hilton Head residents say they're still going to enjoy a day at the beach.
I want to sit here and watch the surf and watch the rain.
They enjoy watching how big the waves get from the storm.
We take precautions. Like we said, we went to the store and got all the things we need in case it gets bad, but it seems at this point it's just great to watch this.
Lifeguards were in position all day to make sure everyone was safe and not going too far out into the water. Reporting in Hilton Head, Jamie Burton, Fox 28 News at 10.
And coming up tonight, we'll take another look at the latest path of Hurricane Isaias. We're keeping a close eye on these live pictures as landfall nears. Stay with us. And welcome back, everybody. We continue our coverage now of the hurricane for our viewers here in Washington and also those watching our Sinclair sister station in Savannah.
Yeah, Tybee Island was braced for the worst this morning as Isaias barreled up the coast from Florida, but the island survived the storm relatively unscathed.
Allie Jenner-John takes us to Tybee, which is still recovering from damage caused by hurricanes in the past few years.
High winds, heavy rains, and large waves. Storm signs that Tybee residents know all too well. But Tybee Mayor Shirley Sessions says city officials predict today to be the worst of it. And compared to prior years, she feels lucky.
I feel very fortunate that we're dealing with a tropical storm potential danger, which is much better than Hurricane 1, 2, or 3. Which, of course, we would need to evacuate in that instance.
Mayor Sessions says the city has put protocols in place asking people to stay out of the water to refrain from swimming. And if they followed these protocols, she says hopefully everyone will stay safe.
The rip tides on Tybee are very dangerous. And along with the potential for higher winds and stronger waves, we just didn't want to have that responsibility on our hands.
Even though people are not allowed in the water, they're still on the sand checking it all out. And few seem worried.
I'm not concerned. I just seem like everybody's safe out here.
Tybee Island visitor Ashley says the city seems to be watching closely.
It's nice to
to see that the lifeguards are out here protecting everybody and making sure that people, don't go too far in the water.
Mayor Sessions says she predicts there to be some damage to the beach and sand dunes, but that overall, the city is in a good place.
We hope that this will be the worst, but if it isn't, we'll be prepared.
Reporting in Tybee Island, Allie Jenner-John, Fox 28 News at 10.
You know, you do hope the storm kind of pushes further out to the east, so we just get brushed by it right now.
Yeah, Bill's standing by. So what do we expect around here overnight and into tomorrow, Bill?
Well, what we expect here in the D.C. area is a lot of rain, a quick-moving system, and of course we'll get you guys checked in Savannah in just a moment. But what we're watching is this storm now at 85 miles per hour, and I've just been monitoring it. Any moment now, the National Hurricane Center will likely have their 11 o'clock update, and it is really, really close to landfall. And some of you have asked on Twitter, so well, what constitutes landfall? It's actually the center of the storm intersecting with the coast. And so this is just a rough estimation that I just drew on here. The center, at least the way I see it, is about 13 miles offshore right now. Of course, it's going to wobble a little bit, so within the hour, depending on the movement, less than an hour, if it continues that northerly movement at about 18 miles per hour, we're going to see that landfall here around Sunset Beach in parts of North Carolina, just outside of Myrtle Beach there, and of course, extending on over here near Coswell Beach. And then that will continue its northerly progression. That's at least the landfall part of it, but we're going to know from the National Hurricane Center here, as I mentioned, in just a few minutes. That storm then has a remarkably tight forecast track that takes it to the north, slightly to the northeast. It picks up a little bit of steam in terms of forward progression and just continues to dump rain. And so what I want to do is walk you through here on our Futurecast, an updated Futurecast. We'll talk about wind speeds as well. Overnight tonight, or at least the next few hours, between now and, say, 5 o'clock in the morning, the next 7 hours, 6-7 hours, off and on rainfall, the occasional thunderstorm not out of the question, but this is not a big severe event in terms of, these big thunderstorms that generate any kind of wind gusts to 60 miles per hour or anything like that. But moderate rainfall is going to be likely, and that really increases dramatically by the time we get to 7 and 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. It is a good morning to wake up. Of course, tune in to Good Morning Washington. Of course, we broadcast online. You folks in Savannah, if you want to check it out, you can do that as well. And we're going to get you through the storm because this is going to be extremely impressive here around the D.C. area, and that includes especially southern Maryland. We're going to say the I-95 corridor and areas off to the south where we get this period of, let's just say, 7 a.m. through 1 p.m. And you see that here on Futurecast. I pause it at 12:30, where we have torrential rainfall that will last for that time period. So it's not an excessively long time, but it will come down hard, it will come down fast, and then it will leave, but it's going to take a while for all that water to rush away. And then behind it, into the afternoon, early evening, we have showers and storms. Some of these possibly could be severe, very similar to what you guys have in Savannah now. We'll be dealing with that tomorrow afternoon and evening. Here's a snapshot of some of the rainfall estimates. It's a computer model, granted, but pretty widespread, 3 to 6 inch totals, if not more. That's an incredible amount of rain. For perspective, the entire month of August in D.C. averages 2.9 inches of rain. We're going to get that in a few hours tomorrow. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a different visual. So here's our winds. We start out at 8:30, a little bit gusty, not really windy in the morning, early morning, mid and late morning. That's when we start to see it really pick up, and you can see Futurecast here basically has that center right over Leonardtown at 11 o'clock in the morning with the strongest winds nearby, these gusts of wind 30 to 50 miles per hour, and then it will race on out of here and those winds will die down. Considerably different by the evening than it will be in the mid to late parts of the morning. Let's get a check of what's going on down there in Savannah. Bradford, we're going to send it on over to you.
Yeah, hey there, Bill. Thank you so much. We're seeing that last bit of the system moving through the low country and coastal empire, now pushing offshore. But I tell you what, some small hail and also some very gusty winds now pushing east of I-95 right now, moving through McIntosh County. And this will move out into the Atlantic Ocean, let's say within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So the last bit of rainfall for the evening hours and into the overnight hours. Speaking of the overnight, low to mid 70s for most areas, upper 70s to near 80 degrees right along the coast. So a muggy and warm start to your Tuesday. And by the afternoon hours, near 90 degrees along the coast, low to mid 90s. Further inland, we'll see feels like readings near 100 degrees with a 30 to 40% chance of those afternoon scattered showers and thunderstorms. Your 7-day forecast here, lower 90s and mid to upper 70s will dominate over the next 7 days across the low country and coastal empire. 40 to 50% chance of those scattered showers and thunderstorms each and every day, straight through the weekend, right near normal for this time of year. The news at 10 continues right after this.
And now, the Toyota Sports Desk, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers.
It's the sports buffet we have all been waiting for. Today, the Washington Capitals, the main course, taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the round-robin portion of the NHL playoffs. Second period, Caps down 1-0. Radko Gudas shoots. It squeaks through the 5-hole. That's when Richard Panik pounces on it and stuffs it in. Caps down 2-1. But the good guys weren't finished. Still in the second, Dmitry Orlov sends it in. This time it's Evgeny Kuznetsov who finishes the job. That ties the game up at 2. It would stay that way until the shootout. Nikita Kucherov scores the decisive goal. Tampa gets the 3-2 shootout win. The Wizards back in action today, taking on the Indiana Pacers. It was another good game for Washington's Thomas Bryant. He led the Wizards with 20 points, but the Wiz just didn't have an answer for T.J. Warren. The forward had 53 against the Sixers on Saturday. He followed that up with 34 tonight, leading the Pacers past Washington 111-100. Hey, some amazing video tonight. Take a look at this. Bethesda native and 5-time Olympic gold medalist Katie Ledecky swimming a lap in the pool while balancing a glass of chocolate milk on her head. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. This is part of a new Got Milk ad. Ledecky made it to the other end without spilling a single drop. Also, the Washington Nationals return to the Diamond tomorrow night, hosting the New York Mets. Here's our live camera in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where Hurricane Isaias is pretty much making landfall right now away from Myrtle Beach. The 11 o'clock update, guys, is in. It just came down. Gusts to 105 miles per hour. It's technically 25 miles east-northeast of Myrtle Beach. It's going to be making landfall here in North Carolina, probably within the half hour or so. So there you go. Bradford, one last check of weather with you.
Yeah, hey there, Bill. Quite a conditions for the coastal empire and low country of South Carolina, and beautiful conditions as we head throughout the next 7 days. Typical showers and thunderstorms.
Thank you very much for helping us out. Thank you for watching. We'll see.